Thank you very much. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us for our Christmas concert tonight. This is the Department of Washington American Legion Band, under the direction of Kevin Robertson, and I am your MC for the evening, Amy Robertson. Make the connection. We open tonight's concert with Herald the Holidays, a fanfare by Robert W. Smith. You may hear some of the same carols throughout the evening because, as you may have guessed, there's a theme. Our next piece is a collection of music from a movie that's not exactly a Christmas movie. We'll call it Christmas Adjacent. Danny Elfman, one of the founders of the pop band Oingo Boingo, composed quite a few pieces for a number of movies in the 90s. Elfman brought his unique style of composition to this, The Night Before Christmas. Nightmare. In terms of record and concert ticket sales, the Boston Pops Orchestra is one of the most popular orchestras in history. It was founded in the 1880s, but its rise to fame started more than 50 years later when Arthur Fiedler was the conductor from 1930 to 1980. Another reason for the popularity of the Boston Pops during this time was because of their dynamite in-house composer and arranger, Leroy Anderson, who happened to be Fiedler's best friend. While Anderson composed and arranged many pieces for the Boston Pops, his most enduring composition has become something that audience members now expect at every band and orchestra Christmas concert. Composed in July of 1946, in the middle of a crushing heat wave, here is our version of the Leroy Anderson classic, Sleigh Ride. quite fittingly entitled The Birth of Cool. By the mid-1960s, it was the most popular form of jazz music being recorded. The Dave Brubeck Quartet and Vince Guaraldi were at the forefront of this fantastic new style of jazz. same time, Charles Schulz's Peanuts cartoons were near the height of their popularity. So when various people came together to create what we now know as a Charlie Brown's Christmas, Goraldi and his trio created what is now the iconic soundtrack filled with cool jazz. This is our rendition of some of that music from A Charlie Brown Christmas. 70s, Chip Davis began his rise to fame, first as one of the creative minds behind the country classic Convoy, and then as the mind behind the new age group Mannheim Steamroller. After releasing multiple albums in a series called Fresh Air, Davis and his bandmates turned their attention to Christmas. They completely changed the way people think of Christmas music with their 1984 album, Mannheim Steamroller Christmas. Our next piece is the first of two songs we will play from that album. The original version of our next piece featured Dale Clevenger, the principal horn player for the Chicago Symphony. And at that time, the wind section of the Chicago Symphony was considered to be the best wind section in the world. And Clevenger was a significant reason for that. Well, we have a pretty awesome horn section too. Jim, Dave, and Tamara will be joined by our euphonium section, Brian and Bob, as we perform the rock version of God Rest You Merry Gentlemen from Mannheim Steamroller Christmas. concert falls within the dates of Hanukkah, we program a piece to honor that holiday. Well, he does, I don't. This year, Hanukkah ended on December 15th, so we're not going to perform a Hanukkah piece. However, given the current conflict in the Gaza Strip, the band wanted to perform a piece to honor those that have been affected by the strife. Our oboe, Tanya Basham, took up the cause to find an appropriate piece for this occasion with the help of a local rabbi. She found one. However, there were no arrangements for concert band or wind instruments, so her husband, Derek, from our clarinet section, arranged this Hebrew prayer for peace for a brass quintet. Tonight, our quintet is on trumpet, Jamie and Dawn, on horn, Jim, trombone, Calvin, and tuba, Stephen. The piece is called Oseh Shalom. The translation from the original Hebrew to English is, "May the one who creates peace on high bring peace to us and all to Israel." And we say, Amen. Our hope and prayer is that peace comes to all involved in this conflict as quickly as possible. Our hope and prayer is that peace might finally come to that war-torn region. At this time, we'd like to recognize a few guests and give our thank yous here. This will seem a little long because it was written to get the quintet back into place, but they stayed where they were. So, a special guest joining us tonight is Catherine Olson, Department President of the American Legion Auxiliary for the state of Washington, and her husband Scott, who is the 4th District Commander. They're in the back of the room. Terry Kissler, 4th District President of the American Legion Auxiliary. Diana Appler, former conductor of this very band, and husband Wayne, former member and manager. Martin's University for the rehearsal space for so many years. Department of Washington American Legion. Barbara Lombrano, interim administrator, cannot be here with us tonight, but she's been a great help to the band. The Lacey Community Center staff, the New Beginnings Bible Fellowship in Tumwater, the UPS store, 6856 in Tumwater, and all of our family and friends who support us and their people all the time. Thank you. So, while the band tries to give you the Christmas favorites you expect at a Christmas concert, we also want to share with you Christmas music that you may not have heard. In the late 1980s, composer, arranger, and music historian Paul Jennings was doing research in Europe when he came across a treasure trove of music written by a little-known cousin of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. It turns out the earliest version of what we now know as the 12 Days of Christmas, written in the late 1700s, was not the first version of the song. A few years earlier, Wolfgang Armadillo Mozart, distant relative of Wolfgang, wrote the original version, The 13 Days of Christmas. Just a warning, Kevin has told me during rehearsal, the band has had their own ideas of how the piece should be played, despite our conductor's interpretation of the music. So be aware there may be some issues during the performance of this little-known work, The 13 Days of Christmas. testing, and thankfully Kevin and the band were able to pull it back together, and, well, at least they got to the end. Earlier, we played a piece from Mannheim Steamroller's first Christmas album, and I mentioned we would do another piece from that album. So, here it is. And to quote Monty Python, now for something completely different. Imagine all those Christmas days you've had in the past, and I'm not talking about the opening of gifts, the presents from Santa Claus, the big family dinner, or any of the frenzy of Christmas. Think back to the time after all that. The frenzy is over, the hustle and bustle is over. All of the clothes have been tried on, and everyone has decided which gifts need to be returned. But keep that ugly sweater from Aunt Myrtle. You have the ugly sweater contest hands down next year. You can just sit, relax, and enjoy the food coma. For the first time in weeks, you can enjoy a silent or still night. This is our version of Mannheim Steamroller's Stille Nacht. Thank you. Now, Kevin and I were born in the 60s, actually both admit this, but we didn't know it at the time. Some of our dearest Christmas memories from childhood revolve around all those animated TV Christmas specials from the late 60s and early 70s, to include A Charlie Brown Christmas, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Little Drummer Boy, and Frosty the Snowman. Christmas would not be complete, however, without the humbug that is even bigger than Ebenezer Scrooge. Yes, I'm talking about Dr. Seuss's cantankerous, grumpy green guy. Here is our version of You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch.